school trains us, it's supposed to be.
Well, I just thought.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna tell her you said something. She'll appreciate it. Yeah. Nice talking to you too. Congratulations. There's your evening. Oh, wow.
That means there'll be like 3 dogs and 5 cats in my bed.
Yeah.
Trying to sleep.
Well, I'll have 2 dogs and 2 kids.
And my wife will be at the barn watching out for her horses. I'm sure they do. I'm not. We're not gonna do that.
All right, everyone, go find your seat. We'll try to get going again.
I'm sure they do.
Not my horses.
Need some labor to do.
Don't worry, I'll worry myself. What about her? If they don't die.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started back with our action agenda. I'll try to remember to get all this straight, the changes that were made. The first on the action agenda is budget amendment number 5. Do we have a motion to approve the budget amendment? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on next, I'd like to make a motion that the board recognize the 2 new STEM committees, one which will be consisting of parents, students, and teachers, and the second would consist of businesses, colleges, and universities. I'll make that in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Is there any questions or discussion? I will say that as a board recognized committee, it will be open to public meetings laws. There'll need to be, anyone is welcome to attend, and we'll need to keep a record of those meetings. So any other questions or discussion?
I have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Who comprises the committee and how do they get on? How do you get on?
Fairly high percentage have actually been with us from the start, but we felt like we needed to divide, to go from 34 and separate into 2 and expand in those areas. So we've been able, for example, at our meeting we've had, I think, had 5 students that were represented, six parents. So we've been able to expand in those areas. Colleges and universities, we're trying our best to make sure we have a representative from colleges and universities.
I mean, do you just call them yourself or someone?
We
Can
do.
someone just
We
volunteer?
do. The chamber has helped us in terms of making recommendations on total lines. We try to funnel through there because they really do have a good beat on what those STEM businesses are out there.
Any other
I
questions?
have a question. I didn't know, if somebody does come in that's not on the committee, can they give input into the meeting or ask questions, or there is no public comment kind of thing in the meeting?
Yes, sir.
These, as any meeting under the open meetings law, you're correct, there would not be public comment because there's no statute related to public meetings for that purpose. It will be up to the committee to organize itself and decide how to proceed. So there's no absolute right for someone to come in as a member of the public and address the committee, but on the same token, the committee is establish its own rules of procedure. And we're probably going to put out some guidelines by which they, not to tell them how to conduct their meetings, but to kind of give the parameters for them to choose. For example, a committee may want to have some public input at one meeting. At another meeting, they may have a lot of work to get done and feel like they don't have time or the need for public input. So it'll be up to the committee, is the bottom line.
Any more questions or discussion?
So the members are already established, or are we at a point where new members can still come on the committees?
Those members are established. I'll certainly be welcome to taking the input from the board. In fact, Mr. Bryant and Mrs. Churchill both serving as co-chairs with myself.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And as board chair, I'd asked Ms. Churchill and Mr. Bryant to serve on those committees, and so as chairman, I'm going to appoint them to help lead those committees. So if you have any questions, you can certainly direct your questions to both of those members.
Are there just, I'm sorry, I should have asked before, I've seen there's two committees, but are there more than that?
No, it's two separate committees.
One is like for curriculum and the other is
One is
more business
consisting of-
relationship.
One is consisting of parents, students, and teachers, and I've asked Ms. Churchill to be on that one. The other one is the businesses, colleges, and universities, and Mr. Bryant will be on that committee.
Okay, so I think there's another committee, Christy Cheek can help me.
No,
Oh, I thought there was one related to curriculum.
Well, it's like a school climate curriculum committee, but it's made up of parents, students, and teachers.
That's
That's
the
the committee.
And that's not a board recognized committee.
No, that is that committee that Ms. Churchill is
Oh,
chairing.
okay,
No, all right.
I got you.
All right, moving on to the next item on the action agenda. We have the student transfers of 2013 to 2014. Is there a motion to approve the student transfer?
I'll move that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up a concern I have. There was only, there's an issue, of course, as everybody's aware, with Camp Creek Middle School in Coons. And then parents may want to transfer their children either from Coons sixth grade, after sixth grade from seventh grade at Cane Creek Middle School to Valley Springs, so they can stay in the Robertson district for those 2 years, seventh and eighth grade, rather than coming together with the Reynolds district at Cane Creek Middle School. And there are also people who want their kids to go to Cane Creek Middle School for 3 years rather than just 2 from Coons. And I guess my concern is, I don't know if I'm seeing, if people have been turned away that have tried to transfer, and maybe they're not being allowed to, and hopefully they're being told they can appeal that. I'm not seeing very many people at all doing this. And I don't know if there's a way to get a feel for that from the principal.
I guess I could ask, have you heard any complaints?
Have I heard any
Do you
complaints?
have specific examples of that?
No, I have not, but I don't know if parents would contact me particularly, and that, I'm not the Robertson district representative. But, you know, that's just a concern I wanted to bring up with the board, just so we can, you know, make sure we're aware of that.
Perhaps we can ask Ms. Churchill whenever she gets back if she's heard of any of that. She hasn't said anything to me if there has been.
I haven't gotten any.
But I guess it's a practice that the principals would tell the parents that they have the right to appeal the decision if they're turned into the principal with that step in the process. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. And I'll be glad to inquire with the principals involved. But Ms. Swan, I don't think you've heard anything. I'm not, Blankenships, I don't think you've heard anything either. You'd be middle school, so.
We
we've not had any appeals in my office.
Goes through Mr. Thomas's office as well.
All right. All right, well, we'll check into that and see if there's been any complaints. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to the personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve the personnel report?
So move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion with the warning to be, please be very careful with discussion.
I just am concerned that we may be creating a new position, a new administrative position by approving this report. And if it gets approved, I want to make sure that it gets entered into the minutes that this position has been created.
Okay. Would you like, would you like to specifically state what that position is?
I can, it's the Assistant Chief Financial Officer.
Okay. Make sure that's noted in
Position,
the minutes.
and I also want to note that we did not get any documentation on how this will be funded. We didn't get any written documents, justification, or financials at all.
Well, it was stated in, I guess I need to be careful here, that it would have a neutral effect upon expenditures. Is that correct?
And for the record, I'd like to state that there was ample verbal information given to this board in closed session. I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor of the personnel report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right, I guess next on the action agenda, we will deal with the intent to continue contract for Medicaid billing services. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion or questions?
Yes, I do have a concern. Just trying to get to that page right now. Did get an answer. I do appreciate the information I received, that this particular service, public consulting group, is the only company in the state that provides full services. I guess would be the best way to put it, to Medicaid for billing, cost recovery, administrative claiming, that sort of thing. I guess my concern is, do we really need a full-service company? Is this something, a company that offers, less service if we have employees here that can do some of it or work with the software that can be provided from companies? I didn't know if there's a cheaper way to possibly do this. And maybe, I don't know, Mr. Venturella or somebody else could answer questions about why we absolutely need to have all these services provided by a contractor, if there's anything we can do ourselves.
Mr. Chair, Ms. Clemens, would you like to address that? Because I know it has a tremendous impact on our special needs populations of children.
The benefit of having this particular company is because they do handle the three areas of Medicaid, which is fee-for-service, administrative claiming, and then the cost reporting. This is basically insurance billing. It's not, I think, an area that we have staff that specializes in, and they provide quite a bit of support to us in the audit process as well. So they're continually reviewing all the information that we submit. We do mock audit claims with them. We run through and make sure that any of the materials that we are submitting will meet the audit requirements from the Division of Medical Assistance. And I think when we did review this last year, we determined that it would be really cost prohibitive. It would stress our already overburdened finance office to try to attempt to pull any of this work in and do it on our own. We have to submit the financials to them, but to do the review and the payment reviews and do the communication with the Medicaid office at the state level, which is, again, it's something that's well beyond what any of our staff can handle.
I know I'm asking you off the top of your head, but apparently this is gonna cost $144,000 for this contract. How much do we get back from all
Well,
of this?
for this portion of it, they collected over $900,000 for our system. And we pay them 15% for that collection process. That's money that's based on financials from 2 years ago. And again, during that 2-year process, they have reviewed, and they reviewed the claims with the state Medicaid office, and then we are approved for that payout. And so the company gets 15% of the payout.
Do you know if that's typical for other states that use a similar?
I do
type
not
of
know. The Medicaid rules vary greatly from state to state, especially with regard to LEAs pulling down Medicaid funds.
Yeah, I guess
The state makes their own rules, and so it's very, it really, I don't believe you can compare, although PCG does work across the United States with more than 4,000 customers, and actually they control or do the statewide systems in many states.
Yeah, I guess what I'm sorry, I didn't ask the question right. I really meant the 15% that we pay them. I didn't know if that was typical, or average, or high.
I assume so. That's been the rate that we've had with them, I think, since our contract's inception, which has been about 15 or 16 years.
So does the contract renew in July? I don't know.
I don't have the contract with me. I think Mr. Venturella has that.
Okay, it just said original July 1st, 2009 contract.
This is maybe a little bit off the subject, but with some of the recent changes that have happened, or you think we're going to see some changes to the school Medicaid?
I don't know, because it's again, it operates pretty much separate from the state of the medical claiming
Okay.
for hospitals and doctors and mental health and that kind of thing. We operate under much more stringent rules than they do in the typical medical community.
I guess the reason I was asking about a date, I'm assuming it's July 1st. I'd really like to know if that 15% is high or low, if that we're paying them to do this. I didn't know if we could postpone this till next month till we find out. I don't know if is that something that's negotiated? I don't know if it's negotiated that or.
That's the rate that we agreed to when we signed the contract. So I don't believe there's a point of negotiation until you are actually renegotiating the contract itself. We're still under that contract, so my assumption is that we would still be obligated for that 15%. The work has been done, the work was done under that contract.
Yeah, I guess it said it was negotiated in 2009, so it's been 4 years and it hasn't been renegotiated. And I'm wondering, is this contract for more than 1 year?
No, it's a multiple year contract, but I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not sure the actual range of years that it covers.
Well, here, there's a portion, okay, it says it will automatically renew for successive 1-year terms after the initial 1 year. Unless either party notifies the other at least 30 days prior to the end of the initial term or the current renewal term. If we don't renew it, it will terminate. So it sounds like we're not locked in to the
Yeah,
multi-year contract.
either party may terminate within 30 days or with given written notice.
That's our new contract.
That's
Yeah, we
correct.
recently did an amendment and got a lower rate for one portion of the contract. That's the administrative claiming. So it's no longer at 15%. But the other 2 portions, the fee for service and the cost reporting, are still at the 15%.
motion, if necessary, that we wait till next month to vote. I'd just like to see if we could get some more information about what the going rate is maybe for this.
They're the only one that provides this only.
They're the only one that provides the service, so there's not
Don't have anybody to
another
compare 'em
rate
to.
out there. And
I guess in other states, but I guess what I'm thinking is,
it really doesn't matter what's in other states because they operate and they're licensed to operate in North Carolina, so you could use a vendor from another state.
It may be easier in another state.
mhm.
I mean, you're comparing different things.
I know we have a large finance department of 18 full-time equivalent employees, and I'd still just like to see maybe some alternatives. As I know you've done this and you're comfortable with this, but I've talked to Fairbanks, for example, that's just one company.
And they only do the MAC claiming, they do not do the other pieces, the fee-for-service or the cost recovery. They do not do all three areas of Medicaid claiming, they only do one.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if it's something we could work out, because we are really looking at trying to, needing to free up dollars for the classroom and try to, save money wherever we can, if it would even be a cost saving. Maybe it would not, maybe we wouldn't get as much.
It would
claims
probably
back.
not, because you would have to set back so much money to cover yourself in the event of an audit. When these claims are audited, and they may pull one or two, they're not even in an audit mode right now in North Carolina, but if they were to pull an audit and they find one or two exceptions, they're gonna then canvass up to 100 samples. And basically, you're going to have to pay back the money that you collected at an interest rate that's very similar, to an IRS audit. So, again, you would have to set aside quite a bit of money to cover yourself in the event of an audit. And again, the claiming changes, I would say, every 3 to 4 months, possibly 6 months in terms of Medicaid and the allowances. And PCG keeps us apprised of that. And we, like I said, we go through and we just recently did a mock audit with them to make sure that our documentation would answer and would be clear in an audit. And, if we find anything that doesn't look clear, then we begin to fix those issues. But they do provide quite a bit of support for us. That is not knowledge or support that anybody in this building has that I'm aware of, because again, it's very specific to medical insurance.
And I'm almost positive that, I talked to Fairbanks a while back, I don't think their fee was exactly the same.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
almost,
details.
I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm almost positive that it was the same
Yeah, I have a little
percent.
history on this.
Okay.
PCG was the first one to get into this at all. There is a reason Fairbanks doesn't do the other two, and it's because they are so complicated. There is a 3-to-1 repayment penalty if you have filed for something you can't support. And people don't get into that unless they have the expertise to
Be
handle it.
really good at what you're doing.
Also, with respect to Fairbanks, the School Boards Association got into this administrative claim a little belatedly. Their fee initially was 20%. PCG, since we'd already been with them for fee-for-service for several years, kept the MAC claiming at 15. So for years, we were 5% cheaper than the School Boards Association for the administrative outreach. Recently, they've had some other plans in place that aren't percentage-based, and it's all a gamble, how much you get in claims versus whether you're better off with a fee structure other than percentage-based. But 15% is eminently reasonable for what's done for fee-for-service, and the finance department has to do a heck of a lot of work to get the information to these folks in the first place. What they do, as Jana was explaining, they are well aware of what kinds of questions arise, what looks reasonable, what doesn't. They put us through our cases before it's ever submitted so that there is not a problem with it getting approved or being legitimate. And that kind of upfront insurance, so you don't have a problem down the road and ending up having to pay 3 times as much as you collected, is worth what they're paying for. You don't want an amateur getting into Medicaid fee-for-service billing. So that's the history of it. They've been less expensive all along. They're extremely competent, and I certainly wouldn't recommend to you that you have a bunch of amateurs, because no matter how skilled they are in public school finance, they're not experts in Medicaid. I would not recommend you as a board to say, oh, well, we'll let some amateurs do it because it's cheaper and we'll just, take our chances. That is not a prudent financial move.
Thank you, Ms. Parker.
Thank you. I think would just feel more comfortable being able to see the options and the pros and cons as a board member. That's my job, to weigh the options. And, I think it sounds like you guys have been doing a great job, so far with this company, and I see myself voting for this. But I just feel like I need to see some pros and cons from some of these other companies and different prices. It just sounds like PCG has a monopoly and they could charge whatever they wanted to potentially. And it sounds like it wouldn't hurt to wait till next month.
All right, well, if you'd like
We
to
have
make a
to
motion
apply first.
to amend,
Okay.
just go ahead and make your motion.
I move to amend the motion on the floor to approve PCG's contract to postpone this
Table
agenda
it.
item.
To table it.
Yeah, to table the motion
Okay, we have
until
a
next
motion.
month,
Have a motion to table the motion.
until we get more information.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Hearing none, is there any other questions or comments? All in favor of the intent to continue the contract with PCG, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, we're going to move the one item from the policies for approval on the consent agenda, and that will be policy number 4303, conduct on the bus. So do I have a motion to approve policy 4303?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions or comments?
That's one page.
I'm just getting to that page. I think the only comment I had was about the code of conduct. I know we're redoing our policy manual, but I want to make sure, I think this is a great policy for bus riders, that we had a code of conduct for all our non-certified employees as well. I know there's a code of conduct for teachers, and we need a code of conduct for administrators, for everybody. That's just typical of a company or any organization that you would have a code of conduct. A parent just recently told me of an incident on a bus.
Are you referring to the code of conduct for parents and administration on the bus?
No, I'm just talking in general about codes of conduct, that, if we're gonna have these specific code of conducts for bus riders, for students, all the students have a code of conduct and the teachers do, but we don't have one for administrators and we don't have one for non-certified employees. So I guess what I just wanted to bring up is that to make sure we cover everybody, because the bus drivers right now don't have a code of conduct, for example. And I wanted to ask, when it came up with the safety presentation and the cameras, I heard that a bus driver disconnected a camera, proceeded to punish the students by making them roll all the windows up, turn the heat on, full blast,
Ms.
and create a
Baldwin,
sweat box. So I'm just saying,
sorry to
there's a
interrupt you, but
need.
we're not really, we're dealing with this specific policy and we're getting way off base. I mean, we have a work session where we dealt with this. That would have been the perfect opportunity to bring it up at that time. So I think we should need to stay, on task a little bit here, and we're dealing with this specific policy.
Okay, well, I do disagree, and
Well, you're certainly welcome to disagree, but we're
And I
on
just, I
policy
think this is something we can look into.
4303. So if you have a
Well, I certainly
specific
didn't know about.
question about this policy or a comment about this specific policy, please make it and we'll move on.
Yes, while I have the floor, I just wanted to say, I didn't know about the incident with the bus driver prior to tonight. And I just think that reemphasizes the point that we need to make sure we have codes of conduct for
Yes,
everybody.
we've heard that twice. So,
Okay.
all right, it's time to move on. Is there any other questions or comments? All right, all in favor of policy 4303?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, and I'm sorry, we also have the policies for first reading that are on the
That's correct.
consent agenda. I had a motion from Mr. Bryan, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? Board directives. The first board directive that we had tonight was requested by Ms. Baldwin. She's making the motion that we have administration look into subscribing to an internet video service to broadcast meetings and/or move our board meetings to a different location for videotaping purposes. That is made in the form of a motion by Ms. Baldwin. Is there a second? Okay. Fails due to lack of not receiving a second. Moving on to the next one, direct the administration to look into creating or using an existing model whistleblower policy. That was the motion that was, or administrative or directive that was made by, asked of by Ms. Baldwin. Is there a second to that? Okay. Moving on. We have a board directive to direct the administration to look into incorporating funds into the budget to provide a comprehensive arts, I'm sorry.
We changed
Hold on
it.
just one second, that's right. Ms. Baldwin had asked me to change this board directive, and so, Ms. Baldwin, if you will give the directive, a change directive. And if you'd like, I can summarize what you said.
Well, do you have what I sent you? I just have to pull this up.
I don't have it specifically, but it's basically to direct the administration
Yeah, I have
to
it.
look into providing funds to improve the strings program in the middle and high schools. Does that pretty well sum it up?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
So that is made as a motion by Ms. Baldwin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All right, any discussion?
Well, just since I'm the motion maker, typically, I go first. Yeah, and I think we've all heard the presentation. The chart that we were given last year showed all the discrepancies. I don't know if you have copies. I had requested today, I know it's short notice, that everybody be given a copy of the chart.
Well, I can kind of summarize the chart as it relates to the strings program. At that time, and this is something that we discussed, I don't know, 8 months ago or so, at length. And basically, the summary was to add, for the strings program, would be to add 6.5 positions, which would come to roughly $335,000, which is about what it would cost to do that. And so, is that the same information that you have?
You did better than me. I didn't even have the amount. And I don't know if anything's changed. Yeah, I think part of that issue was that the two of the current teachers are not in certified positions. So they're being paid a very minimal amount of money to do their job. And I think it includes, and when you say improving the strengths program, is bringing those positions up to being certified positions. And I think once that happens, there'll be a lot more recruitment of students. These teachers right now probably may not feel that they're being, paid to work overtime basically to go out and recruit fifth graders. And I think one of the points before that was made is that string instruments such as violins are very inexpensive. You can get them for less than $200 each, and in this tough economic times, that's a viable option for parents as well. And of course, everybody knows music education strengthens academic achievement.
Maybe it's certainly cheaper than a tuba.
Yeah, you have to buy one of them. Saxophones are expensive too, as you know. So, we also last year heard from parents and students and teachers and members of the community asking us to please look into this. And I think we're at a point where we can do that.
Any other questions or
Yeah,
comments?
I would just like to comment. I mean, I don't think anybody would be against strings program or comprehensive arts program. It just comes down to the allocation of resources. And we all know how North Carolina ranks in the nation. We know that we've lost 139 positions over the last 4 years. There's tremendous stress, in my opinion, with the administration, with the cuts that have occurred in the central office and the assistant principals. We're looking at, we've lost teachers' assistants, we've lost technology positions, et cetera, et cetera. We're also looking at a governor's budget that's $5 million, approximately a little under $5 million cut to our budget. We're looking at federal government losses of close to $5 million, a little over $4 million. We have a board, I think as a board recognizes that recognize that world language is incredibly important. We just saw a great presentation from the safety folks, and that's going to take a lot of funding. And I don't think anybody here would be opposed to it. It's just a matter of allocation of resources. And I think as a board, we really need to look at increasing the public awareness of the financial condition and funding that the public schools of North Carolina are getting. And that's why I seconded the motion. I wanted to express that opinion.
Yeah, I completely, oh, go ahead.
I will say that, at Buncombe Middle School this last week, they had an evening of the arts, and they have a strings program at Buncombe Middle School, and I was blown away. I watched them for a good 15, somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes, and it was absolutely amazing. And I really, if there's any way that we can, increase any of our arts programs, I'm all for it. But we do have some struggles. I think this board has set a direction that we want to try to maintain. And while we only have the governor's version of the budget, I mean, there's a significant loss in the funding to our teachers' assistants. And so, I think as a board, we've made it pretty clear that we want to try to maintain those teachers' assistants in the classroom. As soon as we have some extra funding, we had a survey that went out to parents, and one of the top items on there was the second languages as a priority, and it was actually ranked higher than adding to the arts. And so looking at that, and I think as soon as we can have money for the strings program, I'm all for it. I think it's a great program. I think, Ms. Baldwin, you're correct in that anything that our kids do with music improves their academic learning. And so.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to that. I completely agree with you both about allocation of resources. I would never propose spending more money unless I had a solution. And I have submitted to you all and to the budget committee a list of cost-saving measures implemented by other districts, and it would save us millions of dollars, and it would not harm the classroom. It would in fact enhance the classroom by freeing up dollars for teaching and learning, and for programs such as the foreign languages and the strings program. So I'm not coming to you without a solution for the financial aspect of this. And I sent everybody the email, even the year before, I sent a list of 13 cost-saving measures. And so we have lots of alternatives here besides the doom and gloom scenario. If we'll just look at ourselves and examine ourselves closely and think about utilizing these proven cost-saving measures that other districts have implemented. I definitely think I see a way that we can do this. And remember, we're only asking the administration to look into improving the string orchestra program. We're not mandating any changes to the string orchestra program, just to look into that.
Good. All right, any other discussion, questions, comments? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Moving on.
I'd just like to make a little statement.
Ms.
here.
Baldwin, please.
I know, I'm just really fed up because we won't even
Ms.
consider
Baldwin,
cost-saving
you are
measures.
out of order. Please have a seat.
This this is board directive time. I talked about in my
Ms.
public
Baldwin,
comment how we could
Ms.
discuss
Baldwin,
things.
Please have a
Can't we
seat.
discuss the cost-saving measures? Everybody puts
Ms.
them under the
Baldwin?
table. We have not discussed when. What did we discuss?
All right,
You all discussed and decided that you don't want to talk about cost-saving
okay.
measures.
Our next meeting for the Board of Education will be on May the 2nd. We'll have a work session at 1:30. Regular meeting will be at 6:30. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All right.
Well, somebody's got your call.
What's that?
Somebody over's got your call.
I don't know what happened to me. I'm hoping it's allergies as opposed to malaria.
It was, I heard.
Is that how malaria strikes?
No, not that kind of call.
You did a great job.